Welcome to a special, or maybe not so special, we don't know yet, episode of Screen Surfers. I think we're going to call these like a career spotlight or anyways, we're not talking about one movie. We're talking about a guy and his career and his body of work up until this point. And that is one of my favorite comedy actors, Will Ferrell.
Yeah, we thought like movies aren't always coming out. There's not always something that we can watch and review, and we thought like, why not take the opportunity with this this show, this YouTube channel or whatever, to like highlight some of the actors we love, the directors we love, the whatever, the key grips we love, and
big
really go through their careers and like talk about our favorites, talk about maybe not our
some
favorites,
flops.
and yeah,
I think it also just gives us an opportunity, for our viewers to kind of get an idea. We can kind of rapid fire talk about a few different movies that are popular, and you'll get to hear our opinions and maybe kind of see. So when we are talking about something new, you kind of have an idea about what our sensibilities are, where we're coming from in terms of our ratings of future things. So I guess like diving right into it, Will Ferrell. We're not going to like formally go through his fucking IMDb page and like say his career started here and this is where he's at. But for me, obviously, he kind of got his major start with SNL.
mm-hmm.
I'm not overly familiar with SNL in general, specifically with Will Ferrell. The shining moment for me in that career was his George Bush impression.
Was Cowbell SNL or was that Mad TV?
That was SNL.
No, that was SNL. Okay.
The cowbell. I forgot that was him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, fuck yeah. He's got like so many. There's a fucking hot tub skit.
Oh,
like he's got
right.
so many. Like his SNL career was. He's one of those guys who like
exploded.
Yeah. SNL. I don't know if they still do it. They probably still do. But they used to do the DVDs or whatever, where it's just like
compilation of a particular. Yeah.
His I remember being like especially excellent. But anyways, that's how everybody got to know him, and that's how we got these fucking leading roles or whatever. Which kind of started, like I would say it started with like what, Night at the Roxbury. And Old School was around that same time. Like 2001, early millennium, that kind of.
Night at the Roxbury, that was never one I super loved, but it was.
I guess Austin Powers, he was also he had
a bit part in that too, yeah. I always forget that he has that part in Austin Powers,
yeah.
But for me, anyways, Old School was the first role for me where he's like a side character, but he kind of steals the show almost.
Yeah, came into his own.
Came into his own. Frank the Tank, and like so many of the best moments of that movie are Will Ferrell, and like the ending with him is the like screaming at the pledges and then the tranquilizer dart in Old School. Like, fuck, that's a great movie. And still, again, one of those comedies that just holds up well, I would say.
Yeah, very underrated. Old School is one of those fucking. It deserves to be in like every list of top 10 or top 15 comedies of all time.
For
and it's
sure.
Just like nobody ever talks about Old School, and it is such a fucking good movie.
Such a good movie. So yeah, that was the one that kind of really launched him, I would say, into being popular, because that was a pretty big movie when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
But again, somewhat underrated.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously, Anchorman was the start of the whole Will Ferrell playing a character leading role kind of thing. I do like Anchorman, especially at the time, especially for the time when it came out. It was one that was so popular. Like everyone was quoting Anchorman. And
so original. Just nothing like it. Like it kind of harkened back to like whatever comedies of like the 60s, the 50s. Like But back when that was an actual guy who existed, was the fucking lead Anchorman. It was a movie about those types of guys.
Almost a parody sort of that. And I love that line early on in the movie where he's like, they're talking about, we need more diversity. And they're talking, what's diversity? Well, I believe diversity is an old wooden ship. And that just sums so much of that
just
idea
like
of the
this
movie
fucking
up.
this
Out of
confidence
touch.
that's like can't be restrained, like just so wrong. You're so wrong.
So there's that. And then actually this brings us into one of my all-time favorite comedy movies. I believe would have been around the same time as Anchorman. But not Old School, Wedding Crashers. Because he also plays a small part in Wedding Crashers.
Part in that,
one of the famous lines that everyone was quoting. The "Mom, where's the meatloaf? Fuck!" Like that was one of those lines that I don't know for you, but it was everywhere in my friend group when it came out. And so yeah, those two. I mean, Anchorman being the one that launched his solo career, at leading man career,
and then we had
the
like,
Adam McKay relationship as well.
Then it was like rapid fire. Like Talladega Nights came out, Semi Pro came out,
Step Brothers was
Step Brothers came out.
That was like that was kind of, to me that was almost the peak, just because of when it came out and how anticipated and how popular that movie was when it came out. Like that was crazy. Just it was everywhere. Everyone was quoting it. Everyone had seen it. One of those you were out of the loop if you didn't see Step Brothers.
Yeah, it very much felt like the logical, I guess, like the fruition of like all those movies and like this. It's not like an arc they built, but it's like Anchorman, Talladega Nights, Semi Pro. Like all these movies have this very similar sort of structure and the way the jokes are laid out and how fucking ridiculous the plots are and whatever. And Step Brothers felt like, let's push this all the way. Like we're gonna have two 40-year-old men who are gonna act like children. We're gonna have them live at home. We're gonna
have just multiple Oscar winners / nominated actors in this thing.
Yeah,
and we're gonna have them just be fucking ridiculous and see what happens.
Yeah, it felt like this is the limit to which we can take a plot and have it still feel like maybe this could happen in real life,
but it's still hyper ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like anymore, and then the audience isn't gonna buy it anymore. Yeah, and that's kind of what Step Brothers felt like. And then it kind of. Yeah, it's just like they after Step Brothers, Adam McKay and Will Ferrell just didn't collaborate quite as much. Adam McKay was obviously doing his own stuff.
He's going more into the dramatic, like doing the
winning Academy Awards, fucking doing that shit. And then I mean they came back with Anchorman 2, which a lot of people don't like. I fucking love Anchorman 2.
I do like Anchorman 2 as well. It's not my favorite of the Will Ferrell, but it holds up and it's. I guess like maybe now is a good time that we've kind of we'll just take a pause for a second.
Swap to the wide?
Yeah. We're just gonna pretend like this isn't happening. No. I guess now is a good time to kind of like we've kind of talked about a lot of the body of work. Maybe we want to do a kind of scale of where the different movies fall for us.
Sure, yeah, you go.
Yeah. So I mean bottom of the barrel. Probably I didn't even see it, but the whole thing because it hurt my heart to watch it. But Holmes and Watson
it's the worst fucking movie.
Bottom of the barrel for me. I can't think of anything that in his career anyways that would be like it would be like Holmes and Watson, then maybe like Daddy's Home 2 would be like up from that maybe.
I didn't even see Daddy's Home 2. Yeah,
it's not good. The first one also would be like just above that. Like it's not much better. It's funny for the one joke that involves John Cena and Mark Wahlberg.
You know who's fucking amazing in Daddy's Home? Oh my God, why can't I think of this fucking Thomas Hayden Church is in that movie, and he is fucking phenomenal. We're not talking about him right now, but Daddy's Home is worth watching, or just at least finding clips on YouTube just for Thomas Hayden Church's fucking performance. God. It is fucking nominal.
It's like maybe 5 or 10 minutes of the whole film.
That guy is underrated. Needs to be in more fucking shit. He is amazing.
100% agree. So yeah, those are kind of like the bottom of the barrel ones for me, and then the ones that everyone talks about, like the top tier. And we're talking leading performances. Like I don't necessarily wouldn't put like Old School or Wedding Crashers. He's part of those films, but they're not definitely like a Will Ferrell film.
Yeah, definitely not Wedding Crashers. Yeah. He's only in that movie for like less than 5 minutes.
Like Old School would be near the top. I would consider that to be Will Ferrell adjacent. But yeah, the top ones for me are like, the ones that everyone loves. Anchorman, Talladega Nights, Semi Pro, Step Brothers.
But yeah, out of those, which one would you say is the best?
I gotta say Step Brothers for me. It's like like Step Brothers or Talladega Nights for me is like it's so tough because of for me with Will Ferrell, a big part of it is his movies are so quotable.
Oh yeah,
and for me Step Brothers is just that top tier quotable. Every time I fucking watch that movie, doesn't matter. I put it on, I laugh, it gets me every time. There's something about it that just tickles my funny bone.
Yeah, there's so many rapid fire quotes in that movie.
And so many moments that are just hilarious. And
it was one of those movies that when it first came out, it felt like the first 8 viewings, you were finding something new every time.
And it's not the thing about that movie too is it's not just Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly.
Mhm.
It's also whatever his name is. I always just think of him as Doback because of that movie. But the like, you wrecked my fucking boat, you goon.
Yeah.
And like the first couple times you watch it, you don't think about it. Then you, after that third or fourth time, and you hear that line, it's like, man, that's
so
funny.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. So many little things like that. Yeah, like Stranger Than Fiction is a weird one. That's kind of like middle of the pack for me.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
It is.
I've always enjoyed Stranger Than Fiction. It's like
it's the closest he gets to being like dramatic.
Yeah, he was in that Everything Must Go movie too.
I watched that as well. It was definitely an indie, like for sure an indie film. But again, I would say it's way better than fucking Holmes and Watson. And
oh fuck yeah! No,
Yeah.
Holmes and Watson is a objectively terrible movie. It's a bad movie. Don't see it. Don't
waste your time.
Don't financially support it. If you can, steal Blu-rays and DVDs from the shelves, throw them in a fire, smash them with a hammer, defecate on them. I don't know. Terrible fucking movie. Don't
support it in any way.
Anti-support it. Do what you can to take it down. Because what a fucking it's like John C. Reilly and fucking Will Ferrell.
How far they fall.
Oh, just fucking like waste of talent, waste of time, waste of fucking everything. Oh, shit like that pisses me off. Like I don't understand how talented people can do fucking dross like that.
That was
sometimes.
the first one they had done that didn't involve Adam McKay.
Yes, exactly.
That was the missing part of the formula, I would say.
But yeah, to go back to Will Ferrell and his more dramatic performances, like he's totally capable of doing a dramatic performance or a more serious performance. Like Stranger Than Fiction, I think is probably the best example because that's
it had
like
the hints of comedy as well. Yeah,
and it's like it's a good script, it's an interesting premise. That's just a good movie. I would not for everybody, but no, if you like it,
yeah. And in terms of his career, I'd put that one kind of like just below the top funny ones that we loved, kind of thing. I mean, who can play a character? Like, I also even think of Eastbound and Down and his role as Ashley Schaefer and Eastbound and Down. And like, it's just more or less, it's like a slight deviation of Ricky Bobby. Like,
that's
more or less like a
personality,
a different costume and slightly different character, but like very much that same formula of Southern guy saying ridiculous stuff. But with Ashley Schaefer, he's like the more intelligent Southern gentleman, and Ricky Bobby's like the stupid redneck.
Mm-hmm.
And just, we kind of see both sides of that from him.
But yeah, I think my top one, if I had to choose one, I think it might be Talladega Nights. And I
totally understand why you'd say that.
And I think that it's like a difference between Talladega Nights and some of the other movies. Is in Talladega Nights specifically, Will Ferrell has a foil to play off of. He has like a villain. And it's like Anchorman.
Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yeah, it's like Anchorman doesn't really have a villain. It's got Vince Vaughn, but he's not in the movie very much. Step Brothers doesn't, like, they're antagonistic than their friends are, so it doesn't really technically have its same sort of foil. It's like
more of a buddy thing.
Yeah,
the other ones are more of a buddy comedy type.
Yeah, and
deal.
then Semi Pro obviously doesn't have it. It's just like it's a movie about a sports team that also doesn't have its foil. But yeah, Talladega Nights had this incredible, not just a foil, one of the greatest comedic actors also living, Sacha Baron Cohen, to play off of Will Ferrell, like two of the greatest comedy legends of our time.
It's time for the matador to dance with the blind shoemaker.
Yeah, to play off each other. And like that's one thing. It's like that movie, because it has that little bit of extra, I don't know if it's like character motivation or like just that little bit of like support that the narrative is getting through that antagonistic relationship in that movie. It's like I'm invested that's the thing. It's like I'm not just laughing at all the quotes and the lines, but it's like I'm always invested in the actual story of the movie. So I think Talladega Nights edges out at the top of the list for me. And then after that, I think just because of how iconic it is, I think I'd put Anchorman. Like
That's fair.
And Anchorman 1 and 2 to me, it's like I have to rank Anchorman 1 a little bit above 2. And then if you haven't seen Anchorman, Wake Up Ron Burgundy, the Lost Movie, I really recommend trying to find a copy because it's so fucking phenomenal. Yeah. It was when they originally made the first Anchorman movie, they had an entire subplot that they had to cut out of the movie just because it was so like
it was too much,
and it was just totally unrelated to what was happening mainly in the movie. So when they released the film on DVD, they took all this entire deleted subplot and a lot of the deleted scenes that they had and like the false takes and like the not the main takes, the secondary takes, and they made an entire movie called Wake Up Ron Burgundy, the Lost Movie out of it, and it is actually so fucking funny. And
it's wild. It's wild that a secondary movie of like takes like that can be as good as that is.
Yeah, and it's like just like I guess like if you're like a movie history buff, it's like I can't think of many instances in or at all in time when an entire fucking movie was able to be constructed from the deleted scenes and the deleted takes of another full movie, which is fucking wild. But anyways, it's got lines in it that are and scenes in it that are just as memorable as like from the lead Anchorman movie. So yeah, I would put Anchorman. I put Anchorman 2 like they because I think it works so well as a sequel, and it's like
it's the OG.
Yeah, Semi-Pro is gonna come in there. Once again, that's a movie I get very invested in, and it's not as rapid fire funny as.
See, I didn't love Semi-Pro the first time I watched it.
I hated it the first time I watched
and then it was like the second time, I'm like, why did I hate this movie?
It's so good.
The other guys, we didn't talk about the other guys, but that was another one that, again, like I would not have ranked that near the top when I first watched it, and then now it would be like, probably below, like somewhere near the top though, somewhere like upper middle near the top.
Yeah, it would for sure, like with those mainstays like Anchorman, Talladega Semi-Pro, Step Brothers, like it's gonna rank below all those for me.
Yeah,
but same. It's a very funny movie in its own right, and it's to me I don't know. It's like I guess Will Ferrell's character in that movie isn't necessarily as strong as his characters in these other movies.
Yeah.
But when they use the character in the right way in that movie, they use it very well. It's very funny. Yeah, so I think that's a lot of them to me. It's like these movies are so funny and so excellent in quality, like those ones we listed. That it's like dependent on the day, it might switch around or whatever. So it's
they're
very,
so close. It's
very difficult, to rank them. But yeah, I don't know. I guess like that ranking I just gave, that if I had to say right now, that would sort of be kind of how, in terms of like how I feel about them and overall quality. But the thing, like you said about Step Brothers, is like it's probably going to be the one that you put into your player or play on your streaming service the most because of how rapid fire the comedy is.
It's such a good one. Like if you're sitting around with a group of people and you want to kind of have something in the background or to watch, it's my go-to. Like if I'm sitting around with a group of friends having a couple beers, we want to watch something but not be too invested, I'm going to throw that on.
Yeah, it's a movie where the narrative really plays second fiddle to the jokes. Like it's like
for sure.
It's like whatever the narrative. It has a narrative, obviously.
It makes sense.
Structure. It makes sense. But it's like at the end of the day, you're there to see the individual scenes. Like that's what you're there for. You want to see the jokes or whatever. And it's interesting when like kind of analyzing that, how those movies seem to be very similar, but in terms of narrative structure, they are different. Like Talladega Nights has a very traditional narrative structure, and Semi-Pro also very traditional narrative structure. Like, so it is interesting that Will Ferrell's able to bounce back from those two extremes, but both are like they feel equal in quality. They feel
totally
so good in both ways, and he can carry both types of movies. I guess
one thing I'll say, sorry to cut you off, up until like a few years ago, I just took it as a given that everyone liked Will Ferrell. I was like, oh, like this movie, and it's like for the first time, I think it was like 7 or 8 years ago, I encountered someone. This is before he'd had any like flops, I would say, big flops. And I'm just having this casual conversation with someone and assuming, like as everyone has seen and loves Will Ferrell, right? And it's like, no, I hate Will Ferrell. Can't stand him. Can't watch any of his movies. I did not realize that there are people who felt that way about him.
The way I've had it described to me is he's like the Nickelback of comedy actors. It's like, there's some people who just like, they won't have a good reason for it, but they'll just say, I hate this guy. And it's like, why? It's like, I don't like his voice and I don't like his shtick. It's like, oh, okay. Like that's
an opinion.
It's not really a fucking opinion.
You're wrong, but
it's like, you're objectively wrong, but that's fine.
You can have that opinion.
You could have that opinion.
It's okay to be wrong sometimes.
But yeah, it's like, but it seems to be that way where it's like, it's of the two extremes. It's like you either really enjoy it, or it's like for some fucking stupid reason you just hate him, and it's like whatever.
You either really enjoy him overall or you're wrong. Like it's okay. It's It's okay to be wrong.
There's something else like that too that people have that I'm trying to think of what it is, but anyways, yeah, that's how I had it described to me one time.
Yeah, but yeah, it's funny to me that I went so long just only encountering other people who were fans of Will Ferrell, I guess, and then that was whatever 20, 23 or 24
people
years
who
old.
aren't up their own ass. That's what we call those people.
Yes,
fans of Will Ferrell.
Exactly. But overall, like I guess to kind of end it off and whatever, kind of come to a conclusion here. I guess it's kind of sad that the last few movies Will Ferrell has done have been pretty not great, and it kind of seems like this once great career is kind of on this downturn. I really hope that changes, and it's obvious that he needs to find someone to replace Adam McKay or some other great.
I think him and Adam McKay need to just fucking
mend fences.
Like they've got a. Yeah. Adam McKay recently came out in an interview and he talked about why they had this huge falling out, and it's an interesting read, and it's like, but it's wild. It's like apparently Adam McKay and Will Ferrell are like not talking, and like they don't like.
They were like, friends and aren't anymore, kind of thing.
Like Will Ferrell is like really butthurt by Adam McKay, and fuck, what's the fucking movie that he didn't cast him in? That
Vice or
War
Dogs?
No, I don't think it was any of the dramatic pieces. I think it was one of the comedies, but it was like basically Will Ferrell. The whole thing was like Will Ferrell was a shoe-in for this role, and he thought he was getting this role, and then Adam McKay basically recast him, and yeah, that's the big thing. Was like he got pushed out of this movie that he thought he was going to be in, and that was kind of the thing that happened. But yeah, I feel like this is the type of thing in Hollywood that can be rectified, and these two can get back together.
I hope so, because
make some fucking.
They've made some of my all-time favorite comedies, so I'd love to see more of the good stuff.
You know what I want to see? Because we briefly touched upon Eastbound and Down.
Yeah,
I want to see a fucking series, a comedy series. It's like we have the Righteous Gemstones. We have there's a lot of great comedy series. We have Eastbound and Down, both Danny McBride projects, but still, there's great comedy television shows coming out now. I want to see Will Ferrell do at least one great, even if it's just one limited series, like a great comedy show.
Yeah,
I'd love to see that because that's something he hasn't done in his career.
Also, we didn't talk about his TV. Just very briefly, he appears in one of both of our, I think, favorite comedy series, The Office, very briefly.
And it's also
fucking hilarious.
Incredible in The Office, yeah.
So let's see. I agree. I think it would be a good move for him, like an HBO, like something similar to Eastbound and Down or Righteous Gemstones.
Something with some good writing and a well thought out good lead character.
Yeah.
Don't go the way of Mike Myers, Will Ferrell. Please do nothing for fucking like 20 years.
And then go back to the old formula that's now irrelevant.
Yeah.
And anyways, Will Ferrell, we love you overall. And hopefully maybe the people in the audience who aren't Will Ferrell fans will either decide to be right and maybe give it another shot or go fuck themselves.
Come out of your own butthole.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for watching. Catch you next time.